Hello everyone, my name is Archit. Today we are going to talk about C control structure. What is C control structure? Control structure is a programming construct that specify and control the flow of execution in a program. It is also in three types, that is sequence, selection, and iteration. Sequence control, which is which is a default way statements that execute programs one after another and in the order written in the code. Here are some key points. Sequence control governs the order of statement execution in a program, making sure tasks happen step by step as written. Also, it is the most fundamental and implicit control structure in programming. Unless altered, using branching or loops, all statements are executed sequentially. Here's an example. Apparently, if we give a variable value of 5 for as for step 1 and then we change the value of that a variable by multiplying with 2 and then giving the same value to b, then we print the value of b. So here in the output, we will get 10. Here we can see that the value got changed. Next is selection control, which can also be called decision making. Selection control, also known as decision making in programming, refers to the ability of a program to select among alternative paths of execution based on conditions. It uses conditional statements like if else, or switch to choose between two or more different actions in a program based on the result of a Boolean condition. This mechanism helps programs react to different inputs or states and is fundamental for interactive dynamic logic. The types of selection control, which is two-way selection, which uses if-else statements, and multi-way selection, which use big constructs like switch case for two or more. Let's talk about two-way selection. A two-way selection program which helps in making that allows a program to select between two possible paths, like true or false. Most common statement used for two-way selection is the if-else statement. It is executed one block of code. It executes one block of code if a specific condition is true, and another block if that condition is false. It's called two-way because there are exactly two alternatives, one for true and one for false. Here are the types: if, which executes a block of code only if a specified condition evaluates the true, and the if-else ladder, which executes one block of code if a condition is true and another block if it is false, enabling decision making in program. Here's an example of two-way selection. First, we will use the data. We'll bring the library of commands. Then we use function void main, and we open it, and then we give marks as a variable, and we give it 55. Now, here we use the if conditional statement and give it a condition that marks should be greater than or equal to 40. If the marks is greater than or equal to 40, if here is the case, then we use printf pass. Now, what about if the value is less than 40? Well, it will not print. However, if we use else and then we give the condition of printf fail, then if the value of marks was set to be lower than 40, then print del fail will be printed in the output. Next is multi-way selection. Multi-way selection is basically for two or more paths. It and is based on the value of an expression or the evaluation of multiple conditions. This is commonly achieved using constructs like if-else if change, nested if, or switch case statements. Multi-way selection enables decision making when there are multiple three or more outcomes for a different situation. The code executes one of several distinct blocks depending on which conditions matches. Here is an example, which is let's put the library of instructions and functions. Then we use the void main function. Then we give day a value of 3. Then we use a switch, which is a conditional statement, and mark it for day, which means that this switch, if the day's value is changed, then the switch's cases will be applied, which is for here case 1 we have put 1 day, then break. Now here you can see that we have put till case 5, which is Friday. Now here, if we give the value of day to 1, then 1 day will be printed. And right now 3 is given, so Wednesday will be printed as output. And if the value of day is set other than 5 or other than 1, like if the value of day is set between not set in between 1 to 5, then by default it will be printed as not a valid day. Now iteration control loops. Basically, it is a fundamental programming concept that allows a section of code to be executed repeatedly as long as specified condition is true or until a particular criterion is met. This helps automate repetitive tasks and ensures efficient code execution. It loses loop it loses uses loop structures such as for, while, and do while to manage how many times a block of code executes. The process that typically involves initializing a counter or condition, testing the condition before or after each iteration, repeating the loop body until the condition fails. The common loop types: for loop, used when the number of iterations known beforehand. While loop, continues as long as coordination condition remains true. Do while loop, executes at least once before checking the condition. It can also help in error processing, validation checks, and repetitive calculations. Here is an example. We use Studio H, the library, then we use the function, then we use the for loop and give I variable a value of 0 and set the condition that I is less than 5, and we give I an increment, which means that uh, while it loops, I's value will increase time by time, and we give the conditional value of I. That means that for every time it loops around, I's value will print it until it reaches the value of 5. Then it will stop printing and then the output would close. Now we come to jumping statements. Jumping statements in C programming are used to alter the normal flow of program execution and transfer control to different parts of the code as needed. They provide ways to exit loops, skip iteration, jump to label statements, or return control from functions. Types of jumping statements. There are four main jumping statements in C: break, continue, go to, return. Thank you. Have a nice day.